We in here.
So, the first video I made was all about how to establish a deep desert base. The ultimate setup. Everything you need for the perfect farm. But as I was uploading that very video, I paused and thought, hold on, do we really need to do all of this? That led me to post a second video, basically saying the exact opposite, that you don't need a deep desert base. And let me tell you, the response was crazy. The comment section blew up, and honestly, it's been split right down the middle. For every person agreeing with the full, well-established, souped-up base, there was someone right after saying it's not worth the effort. And I love that. Because when a topic becomes controversial, that's when real insight starts to come out. But I have to be honest, all right? The truth is, it was all intentional. These two videos were an experiment, and I genuinely agree with points from both perspectives. And that's why I made two completely contradictory uploads. And today we're diving into the results. I'll be going over your comments, breaking down both sides, and explaining why this decision is way more valuable than just choosing a side. And that's what this channel is all about, making unconventional content. Welcome. If it's your first time here, I'm 𝒉𝒆𝒍𝒑𝒔 from Identity, and I cover builds, guides, and discussions like these. If that's something you're interested in, then consider subscribing. And don't forget to like. Alright, now, in almost every game, especially games like DuneAwakening, have an endgame. Basically, a gameplay loop that allows you, the player, to stay busy and have fun after you've completed the main campaign and are ready to just live in the world. Well, DuneAwakening's endgame is the deep desert. Some don't really like it that much. They say it's just a farming simulator, but it is endgame nonetheless. Plus, there's really nothing else you can do in 𝐒𝐻𝐺 basing except make an extravagant base, which I am working on, by the way. But other than that, you want to be in the deep desert. All of the best endgame loot is attainable there. So why wouldn't you establish a full base with all the necessary equipment, farm spice, strividium, etc., and then refine it on site? Seems like the only option, right? Well, it's not that simple. And there's actually a case to be made for why you don't need a full base. Just a simple one with 1 or 2 storage units. That's why I love engagements like these. They bring out the absolute best in the community, whether you agree or not. And I see a lot of comments telling me I'm not making any sense or I'm wrong. Many are saying I'm right, but just hear me out, because my purpose is to offer a multifaceted solution for the best outcome. I even conducted a poll on my channel asking this, and the majority voted for not having a full base. That's not surprising to me, because the majority of players in general aren't tryhards. They're casuals. Most players maybe get on for a short period of time just for this purpose, so it makes sense not to invest in a full base with souped up structures. But here's the important part. You're only doing that once. Getting all those resources like plastanium, duraluminum, etc., yeah, it's a bit of a grind, but once you do it, then just make a special storage in 𝐒𝐻𝐺 for those DD based materials. And yes, I heard all of your suggestions about switching circuits so that those resources never accidentally get used, and I appreciate that. But if you do this, most of the hard work is already done. But still, some of you feel like you don't even want to do that, and that's fine, because they'll say, even though you may think it's as simple as just building your base and that's it, well, it's not, because you have to maintain the upkeep with filters for water and other resources depending on your base's needs, because you might eventually consider using Fremen death stills for water on top of the wind traps. Then you'll need consistent dead bodies. So yeah, it's a whole responsibility. But hold on, remember, full bases that yield refined resources weigh way less than raw ones. But overall, it's still not really known how much time is spent hauling raw resources back and forth to 𝐒𝐻𝐺 versus the building and breaking down of full base structures pre and post Coriolis storms. So in this case, it's really up to you. Players will argue about this tooth and nail, and I agree with both perspectives. I have valid reasons why. Firstly, I consider myself invested in this game. I spend several hours per session and have the means to maintain a full deep desert base solo. But the reason I say it's not required is because the deep desert itself doesn't require it. There are other ways to get spice, melange, and any other loot out there. And I'm speaking from a one storage based perspective here. Here's what you do. Just let the tryhards do all the work. Raid their bases and steal what they've collected and take it for yourself. This is one of the best reasons not to build a full base. Earlier today, I hit the jackpot doing just this. I broke into a small base that was nestled and hidden pretty nicely in the rocks. I almost didn't see it, but a double storm came just as I landed, and this was my first base break-in, which was cool and intense. At any moment I thought it was going to come back. And yes, I know I need a last gun, but I got eaten by a sandworm and lost it, so yeah. I didn't expect it to take this long with a rocket, but I mean, that's all I had. It got the job done. Anyway, this small base had so many suspensor belts and fuel cells, and it was on an island with a ton of strividium and titanium, and I was able to clean them out. This is a completely legitimate farming method for those who don't have a full base. Even more of a reason to do this, because you can establish your storage base in a PvE zone and never get raided yourself. Now listen, I personally, since I'm invested, implement both methods. I have a full base with all the necessities for refinement so that when I do raid a base and find spice sand, for example, I can refine it right there. It just makes sense to me. This doesn't negate the casual player's one base perspective, because depending on their strategy, they might come out after that week with more than a player who's completely invested. In fact, those types of completely invested players most likely will never expect their base to get raided because they're so busy trying to collect the most spice sand or whatever else they're doing. But on a personal note, this week was fun. It was really fun. I went all in. I've made adjustments to my previous base you saw in my other video. Now I have a pentashield with the wind traps still on top but slightly different positioning, and I've made sure that I copy this layout for future builds. It's been fun. From raiding bases to finding my first plastanium scatter gun, I've been using both the tryhard and casual gamer perspective, but you can only do that if you put the time in. Point is that there's a way to get tons of loot even if you don't put that time in. For me, it's just more of a satisfying experience building and crafting, along with the risk of losing so much. It's a nice creative process that allows me to fully bask in the ambience of the DuneAwakening's endgame. At the end of the day, it's really up to how you decide to play. Just know that there's a place for everyone to enjoy and gain a lot, even if you don't put as many hours in as the next man. Now, I know you have a lot to say in the comment section about this one, and I'm really glad that through all of it, I was able to provide more insight on the advantages and disadvantages from both perspectives. Let me know what you think, and if you're still here, chances are you've enjoyed this conversation. If so, then like the video, and don't hesitate to subscribe if you feel inclined. Both videos I made are available now. You can check them out depending on which perspective you have, but that'll do it for this one. I appreciate you stopping by and watching to the end. I'll see you in the next one. Be right out.